Reorganize, a new career for you new. My name is Cassandra. Today we are downstairs in my Midwest basement and we are going to be organizing, decluttering my food storage. Need to do this for a handful of reasons. Number one, it's getting towards kind of like the end-ish of preservation season here in Zone 4B, which means my food storage has taken a massive hit. There's equipment everywhere, things strewn about. Two, with the baby being born this summer and my kids being home all summer, ripping through food storage for snacks, sending kids down to grab preservation equipment or whatever, things are everywhere. Number two, I have to do a big bulk grain haul from Sam's Club in the next like week or so, and I need to get things cleared out down here. That way when I'm bringing down a ton of new stuff, everything can be rotated properly and it just makes the job a whole lot easier. Being said, this is probably going to be a multiple day job. This is just day number one, kind of getting things started. So I am going to have some trash piles down here, just like empty boxes and bags and things that need to be taken care of. And we also basically have all of our jars filled for the season. I only have probably about 20 jars left, which is awesome. It means we preserved more than what we did in years previously, because every time I have to go and buy new jars, it means that we filled all of our jars. We need new ones, right? So I still have not done any preservation on tomatoes yet, which is going to be my biggest preservation project. Plus we have apples coming in as well, where I'll be doing a lot of bulk preserving of apples. So I still have 2, if not 3 really big harvests and preservations to get ahead still, which means I am A, gonna need to purchase more jars, but 2, I need to rotate things and get more space, which is a delightful problem to have. So I have all of this here, plus I have another shelf on the other part of the basement that is almost completely full of the preservation projects we've been doing this year. So lots of goals, lots of things happening. This is just day one. Let's see what we can get done. I'm basically working in between my toddler, my big kids, but more importantly, my newborn. So let's see what we can get done today. Hopefully it's a decent amount, and we'll pick back up, you know, when I have another free moment, spare time. So this might be a multiple part video series, but we'll see what happens. Today, I think my goal is to clear up this shelf in front of me here and start figuring out if preservation equipment needs to go underneath this shelf, and all of my shelves now need to be for jars full of food, which, I mean, what a problem to have, right? So let's just start moving things around, figuring things out, and see what comes of it today. This is the jar, or this is the shelf in front of me that used to hold all my preservation equipment. I have 2 of these. The other one's on the other part of the basement full of jars, which we already talked about, but you can see things kind of got pulled off. They just got set down here, so this needs to be taken care of, but I'm thinking all of this stuff is probably going to have to come down anyways and get rotated all the way under here. This is a shelf my husband built me last year, which held all of our home preserving things all up on it, but I know I'm gonna be out of room. So I think all my equipment and stuff is gonna need to go under here. So I think I'm gonna start organizing things, pulling things out, making room for things, and we'll see kind of what happens here. So today is just going to be kind of figuring things out. Plus we have this shelf here, which usually holds like bath products, medicine, extra things like that. We have a food bought shelf here, and then usually we keep onions and potatoes and things that we grow down here. And then we have extra kitchen things, laundry things, and then more kind of cans and things. So let's see what we can kind of get accomplished just today. This was so important to get done because I have that big bulk grain order coming in. But number 2, it is also that time of year where winter is kind of looming, and over the next 3 months or so, really before there's a lot of snow on the ground, I want to make sure that my food storage and my household storage is really good. That way, if we have another power outage, I don't have to worry about a lot of things, but also because we grocery shop once a month, if I have to wait an extra couple of days to go grocery shopping because of a big snowstorm, or we get snowed in, plows don't really hit our area very quickly after a snowstorm, so sometimes it takes a day or 2 for me to be able to get out and to town. I don't have to worry about it. We can survive those extra couple of days. It might not be super comfortable, but we'll have what we need. I was able to get this shelf completely cleared off and moved down some preservation equipment just on the bottom here. And I think I'm going to go start getting jars off of the other shelf and just putting them here, seeing how things fit, because that's most important, is that the jars are on a shelf. So we'll figure that out and get organizing. Organizing the jars is kind of my favorite part anyways. That part is like almost kind of fun to me, so that part's not gonna be that bad. My floor is still covered in, these are literally the only jars I have left for the season, so those will definitely be filled, and old like jam jars that I buy from the store that I keep for putting like dehydrated things in or stuff like that, spices, things like that. So I'm gonna find a new home for those. I'm just not quite sure where that's going to be yet, but I want to start organizing some things. So I actually think what I'm going to do is, I know I have I just have to figure out how I want to do this here. I think we're gonna put veggies on this shelf and have this kind of just be all vegetables. We canned a lot of our veggies this year, which is something we've never done before, so I think I want to put all of like my corn, carrots that I have, celery, things like that over here, just because I think those are things that I would most likely just send a kid down while I'm making dinner really quick, like, hey, go grab a jar of whatever vegetable you want off of the shelf for dinner tonight. So I want to have these low enough so that I can send like either of my older kids down here and they'd be able to reach it and grab it and not worry about it. So I think that's what we're going to do for now. So I have some vegetables over here and I have even more over there, so we're gonna see how everything fits. I think I've kind of collectively decided that today I'm just going to try to get the canned food section kind of pulled together here, and then I will just move it section by section, kind of breaking it into like 3 or 4 days. So this is arguably the biggest section, but also I think the most important. So I'm just gonna keep carrying jars over here. I think I'm gonna carry over corn next, get that over here, and just start, like I said, filling in this shelf, and then we'll start organizing that shelf and things. And then if Juniper wakes up from her nap, I can easily move jars around one-handed and it won't be that big of a deal. And that way I don't feel super overwhelmed with getting it all done today. So that's my plan, new and improved. Let's keep going. So everything that I'm putting, not everything, but some of these jars on the shelf here are actually from my in-laws. I talked about this, well, I've talked about this actually a lot recently. My in-laws have been empty nesters only for the last couple of years. They raised 7 kids, and just since I think like 2020, they've been empty nesters. So they are still learning what it's like to only feed 2 or 3 people on a daily basis. Some of these jars are from my in-laws. They've only been empty nesters for the last couple of years, and then they garden every other year. So one year they'll focus on the garden and preserving, put a really big garden in, all those things, and then the next summer they focus on hunting, fishing, doing things like that. And then they'll put in a smaller garden that year just for like fresh eating, or maybe they only need like 1 or 2 things, like maybe they need more canned green beans or something. They'll put in 1 or 2 bigger things like that, and that's how it works for them now that they are empty nesters. That being said, they only have a couple years of doing that under their belt, and they're still learning what it's like to only feed 2 people instead of feeding 9 people on a daily basis. So they had a ton of extra jars from their last couple of canning years that they needed to get rid of. Their rule is they want to rotate over their jars every 5 years. So they had a bunch of jars from either like 2020, I think I have some 2022s, a couple 2023s in here from their stash. Obviously we have 5 kids. Some of my like sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, they also have a lot of kids, 4 kids as well. So they kind of called us over and were like, hey, come take some of these older jars, eat them up, have the kids eat through them, and then bring me my jars back. That way this food isn't going to waste. They're still getting used, because we can blow through these jars in a winter easily. So I ended up taking celery, carrots, I think extra salsas they had, extra pickle relish that they had, some sauerkraut, and I think that's it. So because they gave me some older jars and I have my own jars from last season or this season that I preserved of the same things, I am going to now I have their old jars here. I'm going to put my new jars here. That way when I'm looking at the shelf, I know my newest stuff is always on this side of the shelf and my oldest stuff is always on this side of the shelf. That way I can work down the shelf this way. And at the end of the season, I can always just kind of like shift things over and add in my new jars if needed. That being said, that's how I'm going to do it because these shelves are too narrow. I can't put my oldest stuff in the back and my newest stuff in the front. So we're going to work side to side. I saw someone on Instagram talking about that. It made so much sense. So I'm going to steal that from them. So I have all of the carrots here. So I'm going to get my carrots next to their older carrots and my celery next to their older celery. That way I can kind of steal that method from her. So I'm going to steal my stuff off of this shelf here and add it over here in front of my older stuff. That way everything can kind of be in a constant rotation. And I'm also clearing off room here to put other jars here, and we'll kind of figure out how everything ends up getting organized, but that's the plan. The other thing I have here is a whole flat of pickle relish. My in-laws did this. I actually helped them with this project back in 2022, but I only took home I think like 4 or 5 jars since 2022. I just opened my last jar, so I was super excited when they told me they still had a bunch of pickle relish, so I took a whole flat of this. A lot of times when we're doing big projects, I will go to my in-laws and help them with a project, and some of my like brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws will too, and we'll do enough for like all 3 of our households and just take kind of what we want. Pickle relish is one of those. We also do sauerkraut together as a family every fall, and we'll all take our allotted amount of jars that we want, and it works really well for us. So here's to pickle relish, getting a restock of that, and then we are actually going to do sauerkraut here in the next couple of weeks. We want to do that before it gets like super cold, so we'll probably do that maybe like September-ish, and then it ferments in crocks for a couple weeks, and then we'll come back together and can it usually like November, December-ish. We usually let it sit in the crock for about 6 weeks to ferment. But here's to a whole bunch of pickle relish getting back on the shelf. We pretty much, I'm really the only one that will use pickle relish on like a hot dog or a brat or something. We typically will use our pickle relish in things like homemade tartar sauce and things when we're doing fish. And we do a lot of fish fries in the winter, or like fried fish sandwiches and things. So that will come in handy for sure for us. The top of the shelf, everything kind of needs to be shifted and kind of realigned now that I've pulled some things off of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I have all of my jars over here, except I have probably, I don't know, somewhere between like 30 and 40 quarts of a different pickle recipe that my in-laws tried this year, and they wanted to share with the kids, get everybody's opinion on it. And my in-laws being the way they are, they can't just give us 1 or 2 jars. They have to give us a crazy amount of quarts, which is totally fine because this whole section down here, from here all the way to here, is all pickled items. My kids and myself, we love pickled items. It is the thing that we can the most of every single year, and we fly through every single year. So if they're going to give me extra pickles, we will gladly take them, gladly use them. They're one of my kids' favorite snacks, and they eat them just constantly all the time. So I think what I'm going to do is start shifting these jars over, making room, and then I'm going to take that second pickle relish or pickle recipe and put that over here on this shelf. That way they're separate. And if my kids end up liking that pickle recipe more, then maybe we'll do a couple jars of that every year as well. That way everything's just separated and things like that. But we are nearing the finish line for today, which feels really good. And I haven't been down here actually that long, I don't think. It's been about maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so. So feeling pretty good about that for today. And we'll just kind of call it, leave it as it is, and pick back up another day. Breaking a big project up into a couple of days usually just makes me feel a lot less stressed and overwhelmed with things. So that's what I'm going to do with this one too. That being said, I do know for sure I have a couple other projects I want to get on the shelf. One of my favorite things to have on the shelf are these like pre-made cookie mixes. We did a video together with these around the holidays last year. I can link that video if you're interested. We did a couple different cookie recipes in these jars. They make great housewarming gifts, Christmas gifts, birthday presents, things like that. And then I just ordered some of these stickers off of Amazon and wrote the recipe on top here with the cookie instructions, and they're really great. That being said, I want to get some more cookie jars on the shelf. My oldest is really into making brownies, so she found a brownie recipe that she really likes. She's been recipe testing all summer, and she finally settled on a recipe yesterday. So I want to get a couple of her brownie mixes thrown together for her so she can make really quick brownies. And I also want to do muffins. So I want to have a couple easy mixes to just pull off of the shelf. So I think for now I'm going to put that here, and we're just going to start shifting projects, making room for some jars that I know are going to go up on the shelf here, and try to make it just a little bit more pulled together. So that's the plan for at least right now. Some of these things, like I only have a couple jars of crushed tomatoes left. These are chili mixes. These are one of my favorite projects that I've ever done. These are packets. I think I might have one here. Do I have a chili? Yes, I do. Okay, so they are these packets from Mrs. Wages. I get mine at Menards, but Walmart sells them too. I'm pretty sure you can get them on Amazon. But this is the chili base recipe that goes in these jars. They're fantastic. I canned them for the first time a couple years ago, and now I make sure I have some on my shelf every year. I canned a big enough batch last year. I'm not going to need to can more of these this year. So, but this is a great chili base. We use it for chili, but also for like soups, taco soups, things like that. These are fantastic. Love them. What's up, baby? Okay, that one's gonna stay there, I guess. I cannot reach that jar. It is way too far back there. I'm gonna have to get a stool, I think, and keep it down here because I cannot reach that. It's not even that far back on the shelf, but it is what it is. Okay, so I think I'm actually really happy with where this project is for now. So I guess let's show you guys the updated version of the pantry now. So we were able to get this shelf cleared off and a ton of jars on it. Sauerkraut, corn, green beans, celery and carrots, different size celery. This is celery and tomato juice, pints of carrots, quarts of carrots, some of the preservation equipment on the bottom there. I was able to get lots of preservation equipment taken care of down here. My paper products and things. It looks better than what it did. A ton of pickled items, our relishes, salsas of a couple different variety. We've got enchilada sauce, hot sauce, lots of applesauce, cranberry applesauce, apple butter, Christmas jam, strawberry jam, one thing of apples left, which we'll have to can a lot more of, 2 things of pineapple, and then these are just some dehydrated foods that I keep here. We've got pork tallow. Oh, I'm seeing a thing of sauerkraut back there. I did not think I had any sauerkraut left, but it looked like I had 1 jar left. I'll put that over here. This is actually from the same batch of sauerkraut that we did too. This is pork lard that I rendered down and canned. We got some juices here, other mixes here. This is pot pie filling. We've got some ground bear meat that I canned here. And then an open space here. I want to can some venison, so that'll go here in some venison stew. I am very happy with the progress I was able to make today. I can actually walk down here a little bit. My jars are more organized, so we're gonna call it quits for today. Go upstairs, make some lunch, relax, and hang out with the kids and tackle some different projects. But for today, the canned pantry is taken care of, and that feels really great. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a clean out. Next time we are down here, we're going to be tackling the store-bought section here. and that'll be a journey in itself as well. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope wherever you are, you're having a fantastic day. I hope your canning pantry is filling out as well, and I'll catch you guys in another one. Bye.